Hello, everyone, and welcome to our third session of our wellness workshop. Sandy is back with us today, and as we know, Sandy is a 20-year professional who has over 10 years in corporate education, training over 700 artists on techniques, artistry, and industry trends. She is also a certified health and mindset coach and meditation guide. She's here with us today to help us educate and lead us to look and feel our best. Sandy, welcome.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Everyone good? Yeah? Okay, hi. All right, I'm going to share my screen here and we are going to get to it. All right, I'm so happy to be back. I am just curious if you guys pop into the chat and tell me if you were part of and watched the last session. I just want to hear from all was part of finding your why. And who found their why? Tell me in the chat. I want to hear. Let's see what we got. Jody, okay, you're coming in. Yes. Okay, good, that's good. More coming in. Okay. If you have found your why, it would be lovely for you to share that with me, because I always love to hear what people's whys are, and then there are ways that I could support you with that. So I think that would be really, really fun. All right, are you guys ready to get into it? So here's the overview. Today we're going to be moving kind of fast. There is going to be a lot of dense information, but you're going to understand why when we get there. So we're going to start off with a session intention and a grounding practice. We'll always do that every single session that we're together. And today is going to be all about neuroscience 101. Okay, you're probably like, I'm a stylist, I work in hair, why do I need to learn about neuroscience? And it's so fascinating, and it helps to give you power in navigating your own thoughts. So you'll see when we get there. I'm going to walk you through a thought loop and self-awareness. We're going to talk about mindfulness, and then I'm going to help you with some support tools. So what's the intention for today? My goal is to help you identify the ways in which your mindset directly impacts your beauty and your well-being, or the way you feel and look, the way you feel and you look about the way you feel about how you look about. I can't talk today. It's Monday. You guys know what I mean, right? To learn about neuroscience, mindfulness, and methods to letting go of the thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve you. That is what we're here for today. So before we get started, let's start with a grounding practice. So if you have a phone open near you, if you're like scrolling Instagram as you're talking to me, like take a moment to just put that to the side. If you're like checking your email, like that email will be there for you when you're done. Like literally take a moment to arrive in your body. We don't do this enough to quiet our minds. So just sit back where you are, and place your hands in your lap and just like close your eyes for 1 minute and take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. And take another close nose and out through the mouth, and begin to sense your body. Not your mind, your body. Just sit in it for 1 more second. Become aware of where you're sitting and how it feels to sit in what you're sitting. Okay. Okay. You can open up your eyes, and we are going to continue. Here we are in our flow. Remember, we talked about we were going to start off with mindset and self-connection. And last week, we talked about finding our why, establishing our priorities. It's a North Star. Time for. So today, go. Okay. Letting go is establishing a mindfulness practice and letting go of beliefs that no longer serve us. We're going to talk a little bit about the education on the axis of beauty and neuroscience and brain function. I'm going to introduce to you why meditation is such a key part of your wellness, your well-being. Technique is meditation. I hate to say this, but sometimes it makes moisturizer. It's the thing that is going to keep you young, and it's incredible. And then we're going to begin the program's journal and strengthening your body's intelligence to rewire your new thought patterns. Okay. So, how is letting go connected to your beauty? I cannot promise you a lot of things in life. Obviously, you can be promised, whether they say death and taxes, we can always be promised with that. But I can promise you this, your beauty, or the way you feel and the way that you feel how you look, is a direct reflection of your physical, emotional, and spiritual health. If you are in balance, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever, you will radiate. So inner balance equals outer radiance. It is science, right? And so one chemical, one hormone called cortisol is going to be the #1 beauty disruptor that you will ever encounter. The more chronic you experience this chemical in your body, cortisol, it's basically where stress comes from. That, what it does physically in the body is that it creates this, and we're going to talk about the nervous system in a little bit, but what it does is it creates this like ripple effect where you have what they call the essentials of your body, which is like your organs, your skin, all this. The vitamins and nutrients that you put into your body will always first go to the essentials of your body to help your body operate. The non-essentials of your body, they call it, is essentials of vitamins, are going to be flushed to the other parts of your body, and they will not reach your hair, skin, and nails, which means for your skin, it weathers down the skin barrier. It doesn't allow the skin cell turnover process to do its job so that you look like you have fresher, younger skin. And it also decreases hyaluronic acid that is made in your skin, which is basically your body's natural moisture. So this is why I say meditation is moisturizer, because it gives you all back all those nutrients and it flushes to your hair, skin, and nails. So I always hear a lot from people like, stress ages you. Like you probably have heard that, right? Like stress creates breakouts, like stress does this. And I'm here to tell you that that is 1000% wrong. Stress does not age you. Stress does not give you breakouts. It's not stress that derails your body flow. It's your response to stress that does. Your response to stress will age you. Your response to stress will lead to breakouts. Okay? You see the difference. And today, what I want you to take away is, how does the brain work where you can respond to stress versus react to stress? Like that is where we are going to have, like that's the goal here, okay? You cannot control your experiences in life. 2020 taught us that, right? I guess, that wasn't the first time we've all heard that, right? But we cannot control the things that happen. It's April, it's gonna snow in Chicago in 2 days. I can't control that. I can control how I experience my experiences. That is 100% in your control. And, today we are going to talk a lot about the basics of neuroscience and the basics of brain function. I want to put a disclaimer out there. The basics are going to be for people who have not been clinically diagnosed with mental disorder, okay? Anyone who has been clinically diagnosed with something, obviously work with your doctors, therapists in the realm that specializes in your care. The type of neuroscience in the stuff that I'm talking about today is for just people who deal with low level anxiety, just low levels of thought patterns that serve you. I keep it very basic. I can tell you this much. I can facilitate a 10-week course on the brain alone because it's so complex. And there's so much information and insight and so many wonderful tools there. But today we're just going to scratch the surface and give you what you need so that you can be empowered to respond to stress versus react to stress. Okay. I want to leave you with this thought. Don't believe everything you think. Okay, think about that. Your mind, you're going to hear about this today, okay, is going to have various levels. And today I want to teach you about the primal way of how the human brain works. And so that you can identify which part of your brain is activated when you find yourself in various situations so that you can walk yourself back, right, off the ledge and really have a logical perspective on how to approach situations so that you feel really good, okay? Understanding the science of the brain, the neurons, is going to give you so much power. Are you ready? Tell me in the chat if you're ready. Are you ready? Neuroscience 101. Let's see. Anyone ready? Ready. Okay. Okay. Awesome. Yay. Okay, great. Let's do this. Okay, in order to start with neuroscience, we do need to talk a little bit about the nervous system, okay? So let me give you a little bit of a background about why I have to talk about the nervous system, because the nervous system is basically a complex network of neurons and cells that carry messages from the brain and the spinal cord to all the parts of your body, okay? And your nervous system and your brain are hardwired to work together. And what I want you to know about, like this, we're going to specifically talk about the central nervous system. It detects environmental changes that impact the body, then works in tandem with the endocrine system to respond to such events. And so like, I just wanted to tell you that because the central nervous system directly impacts all of the different organs of your body. All I want you to take away today is something called the parasympathetic nervous system and sympathetic nervous system. Okay. The parasympathetic nervous system is in charge of your rest and digest state. So the more rested your body is, it's easier for you to literally digest food, and it's easier for it to repair. So the more that you find yourself in this state, and it's basically like your relaxed state. The number one place where you can access your parasympathetic nervous system is when you're sleeping. And this is why they say get your beauty sleep, because you're tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system where your body can regenerate. Your skin cells can recoup themselves, okay? The issue is there's a lot of factors that cause you to not sleep well. There's parasympathetic stuff that doesn't allow you to get there, but my goal is to teach you how to get there faster. Then you have the sympathetic nervous system. And this activates in situations where you feel like you need to fight, flight, or freeze. And the human body is given this system because it's basically like our fire alarm that goes off when something is wrong. Primal human, because saber-toothed tigers would hunt us. Okay. Let me know if my connection is going on in and out. I have 2 kids on Zoom downstairs and I can see it's okay. Sorry for the delays. Sorry, guys. Sorry if my internet is going in and out. So the sympathetic nervous system is part of your fight or flight. And in this case, when a saber-toothed tiger is like gonna chase you, your sympathetic nervous system goes into overdrive and all of your nutrients go to your limbs so you can run. The problem is that your body doesn't recognize if a saber-toothed tiger is chasing you or if you got a really uneasy text from a friend or a text from a boss. And so regardless, when your sympathetic nervous system triggers, your body goes into this like cortisol elevating chemicals. Okay. But the thing is like as being a modern day human, we so easily get tapped into the sympathetic nervous system. And when you're chronically there, it's what creates dysfunction in the body because your body's never able to rest and digest. And so there has to be a balance, right? So the other part of the central nervous system is the brain. And here's where I think we really can spend so much time because I find the brain so fascinating, so fascinating. It's the processing center of the body, okay? And what modern day humans fail to do is work the brain out as a muscle. We're so concerned with working out our biceps and our abs, but the brain is a muscle that also needs to be worked out. And what happens when you don't work out your body or a muscle? It becomes weaker, right? Well, the brain is a muscle that we don't tap into enough to work out. And when you work it out, you get so much more logical thinking coming back to you. And you sit in this place where you can respond to stress versus react to stress. So let me explain how that works, okay? So if you can see this prefrontal cortex, okay, it's like the front part of your brain right here. It's the highly developed part of the frontal lobe that plays a role in regulation and complex cognitive, emotional, and behavioral functioning. This is basically where your logical thinking comes from, the prefrontal cortex. This is where your higher self comes in. So when you feel like when you logically look at a situation and you logically know that you can accomplish anything, that you know that you could be the best you, like you really feel it, you really know it, it's usually coming from your prefrontal cortex. This allows you to have more control over your emotions and also more clarity. Now look at the amygdala. The amygdala is that little tiny small part of the brain. It's like right in the center. This is the emotional center of the brain. And this is where your fight or flight, your safety, where unknown change can really activate the amygdala because it's all out of emotion. So when you know, like if you have a conversation with somebody who's more logical versus emotional, you're going to have two different conversations, right? The problem here is this is all in your brain. So you're having conversations with yourself in your brain. This is why I don't always believe what you think, because the brain isn't always aware of the truth because you have two different parts of the brains that are talking to each other. So one of the things that you can do, and we're going to talk about this later, but you can do to work out the brain is practicing mindfulness and meditation. Meditation is the #1 quickest way for you to actually work the prefrontal cortex out so that it strengthens. And when you do it over time, it physically gets greater in mass and gets heavier. So I want you to think about it this way. I want you to think about the amygdala right here in the center of your brain, and this is the prefrontal cortex. Every time something stressful happens, because if the prefrontal cortex is weak, it's literally going to flip up, not physically flip up, but it's going to literally like lose control, and then the amygdala takes over. And this is where like the fight or flight is. And this is where people like freak out. Okay. But the heavier or more weighted the prefrontal cortex is, the harder it is for the amygdala to take over. Interesting, right? That's where the saying flip your lid comes in. And I always use this. I use this a lot with my kids so that they understand that when they're having, big feelings and hard feelings, that's this part of the brain. But when they're in control of their feelings, that's this part of the brain. And so we use the fist a lot and I ask them, what part of your brain do you think is working right now? It's so fascinating, okay? Now, in the brain, there's something called synapses. And this is really important. I want to explain this to you because it's part of the whole composition of the brain, okay? Synapses, it is a small pocket of space between two cells where they can pass single messages to communicate. So I want you to think about this. Your brain is made up of thousands of synapses in also in the brain cerebellum, okay? Thousands of synapses. What they basically are thought patterns, okay? Patterns of hardwired thoughts that continue to strengthen and define the more we think the same thought pattern, okay? So I'll give you an example. Oh, sorry, I just saw someone in the chat. Okay, I'll give you an example. If you think to yourself, playing a guitar is hard, and you say it to yourself over and over and over again, I tried it once, but playing a guitar is hard. Playing a guitar is really hard. Playing a guitar is hard. The more you think a thought, the more your synapses become defined. And the other way that I can give you an analogy is if you're a skier, or if you like to ski, and you ski on the same trail over and over and over again, that snow is just going to get more defined the more you ski over something, right? That's what happens with your thoughts. The more you think a thought, the more your synapse gets defined, and it's very hard for you to change your mind from that thought. The good news is that you can change your synapses. You can, what we call, rewire or prune them by physically trying to think a new thought. And I'll show you how you can do that. But I want to give you a couple examples of like a synapse that in my life that I feel like has really, really served me well, okay? I used to think that I was really bad at creative writing. I probably, I'm not the best, right? I know that. I'm still, like, I used to think like I'm so bad at creative writing, and then all of a sudden it became my job. And the more and more that I continue to say, I am a good creative writer, and I just literally repeated it back to myself, I am a good creative writer. I am a good creative writer. I am a good creative writer. Every time I would sit down and write something, the more easier it got. It takes 9 weeks to prune and rewire a synapses. But I want you to understand this information, because every thought you think that you believe is not serving you has the power to be rewired. The more that you've been thinking that thought, the harder it is. I'm going to be honest with you, right? But it is in your control. Okay? I'll explain why now. So this is a thought loop. Okay? Thought loops go like this. A thought tends to trigger an emotion. That emotion tends to trigger a behavior, and that behavior tends to trigger an outcome. Now, if you don't like the way outcomes are happening, that's probably a good indicator that you can change the thought. I'll give you an example, okay? I haven't had a boyfriend since before, okay, I met my husband like almost 20 years ago. So I haven't had a boyfriend in like 21 years. And what I remember is there was a song that was playing when me and my boyfriend broke up. And for years, I was like, oh, that song reminds me of the breakup. I actually don't like that song. I don't like that song. And everyone around me was like, how do you not like the song? It's such a great song. And for me, it was just like, it represented pain. Okay. My thought triggered sadness, which triggered me to behave in a way that just really just hated that song, right? And the outcome was that I couldn't listen to it. Okay. Even though when everyone played that song, because it was like a really great, like early 2000s song, right? Still played at parties all the time. I was just like so salty about it. And then I was like, okay, why do I have to give that song that thought power? Why do I have to give it that memory? And so I started to change the thought about that song represents fun that I have at parties with my friends who love the song. And I kept thinking every time I heard it, I would be like, okay, it represents this, it represents that. All of a sudden, my emotion towards that thought started to change. And then my behavior was like, okay, listen, and the outcome is like, okay, I'm having a good time with my friends. This happens every single thought you think. Every thought you think triggers an emotion, a behavior, and an outcome. And so I bring this up because if you can start to think about where your thoughts come from in your brain, if they're from the prefrontal cortex, are they coming from the amygdala? Okay. Right? That you have the power to change the thought if it's not serving you. Okay. Sorry, it seems like my connection is unstable. So if anyone is hearing me about like coming in and out, I apologize. What do you guys think of this? Like, has anybody ever presented? Am I making sense? Am I place for your okay? Makes great sense. Okay. So I want to spend a little bit of time here because I know this is a lot of information and you guys are like, I'm just a stylist. Like, what is this going to do for me? Like, how does this help? How does this work? Your ability to identify where your thoughts come from are going to be life-changing. And I'm going to give you an example. In your amygdala, your ego lives there. Okay. I keep freezing. I'm so sorry.
Hi everyone. Yes, Sandy, you're doing great. It freezes a little bit here and there. We're recording it. For anyone who needs to jump back and listen to anything that they've missed later, you can do that. So Sandy, you just keep flowing. We're recording and we'll share what we can later, okay?
Okay, sorry.
You're good. You're good. Keep going. You're doing great.
So in the amygdala lives the ego. Okay. Your ego is triggered by emotion. And so when you start to have these patterns of thinking where you're questioning yourself, and this is why I say this a lot with girls, because we question a lot of our worth based on our beauty, right? Like, oh, I'm not enough, or I need to look a certain way to prove my worth. Or a lot of people utilize perfectionism as a way to give them permission to really love themselves. Like they try to be perfect in all these different areas. All of that is coming from your lower mind, from the amygdala. Okay. When you can start to realize where those thoughts are coming from, what part of the brain, the amygdala, the more you can start to change your thought around them. And for me, what works is I call that level of thinking the crazy woman in the attic. The woman who's like trying to yell at me, who's saying things like, you're not enough, you're not good at your job, you should be doing better, you should be doing this, you should work out, you should eat better. Like all of a sudden, when I hear those thoughts, I'm able to say, oh my gosh, that's coming from the amygdala. And then I'm able to say, crazy woman in the attic, you need to go sit down. You don't know me. You are just bugging me. You don't understand who I am. You don't know me. I need you to go sit down. And I literally have these conversations with myself. And the more and more I'm able to identify these ways of thinking, I'm able to let them go. All by knowing that by changing my thoughts, I can change my emotion, which will change my behavior, which will change the outcomes in my life. That is the number one thing that I want you to take away with you today, is that you are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you. Not all of them are you. A lot of them come from a fear-based mentality that are not even true. I promise you, when you change your energy and you change your thought pattern, you will change your life. It's a choice to do that. It's a choice. And so I want to give you tools today that will help you to be able to do this. Okay? It's about mindfully picking your thoughts. It's easier said than done. And that's why it's a practice. There's no grand gesture that will get you to not being able to think thoughts that don't serve you. Like it's a practice, okay? But I want to leave you with a thought today that I hope that you guys will hear me without any static or in and out choppiness. Don't get caught up in worrying about the future. The future doesn't exist. Don't get caught up in worrying the past. The past doesn't exist. You worrying about the past and the present only steals from one thing, and that is the now. You can plan for the future, but don't worry about the future. You can learn from the past, but you can't worry about the past. All you should worry about is the now. And when you can start to adjust your thoughts from that perspective, your life will change. I promise you that. So here's some of the areas that it will change. When you start to identify what part of the brain your thoughts are coming from, and you start to realize that it's an opportunity for you to change your thought, you will engage in far much more emotional regulation. Your ability to control your emotions, specifically strong emotions, by not acting on raw feelings or an impulsive, destructive manner. This part of you gets increased with mindful thinking, mindful awareness, okay? It allows you to respond to situations versus react to situations. The other thing that just jumps up is your self-awareness. The ability to label and recognize and understand your own emotions, noticing your emotional states and how they affect your thoughts, your behaviors, and decisions. That is the key to self-awareness. And when you can really get in touch with these two parts of you, it becomes magic. It becomes magic, okay? The benefits of emotional intelligence will be a benefit on your beauty. Because then your cortisol levels go down. You're able to be in that rest and digest and repair part of your nervous system. You're able to do that. So knowing a little bit about the brain and neuroscience is a beauty practice. Simply put, firmly believe it. So let's talk about like, what are some of the solutions? Like, how can we get there, okay? Mindfulness. You see this diagram right here? You could be mindful, or you could be mindful. As we age, as modern day humans, we are very mindful. Children and our pets, you know why we love them so much? Because they're mindful. Let that sink in for just 1 second, okay? Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in awareness of the reality of things. It's considered an antidote to delusion, a clear and relaxed awareness of what is actually going on around us. It involves being fully present in the moment instead of distracted by the thoughts of the past or the future. We are really good at human doing. We forget to be a human being. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. We are really good at human doing. We forget to be a human being. Right? I want to pause on that because that is something to let sink in. One more time. We are really good at human doing. We forget to be a human being. And allowing ourselves the ability to stop our doing and take in what is going on around us from a logical perspective helps with your thought patterns, helps your nervous system, and ultimately helps your beauty. Okay? Emotional well-being is just as important as physical well-being. And I know you all know that. I know you know that. Do you guys agree? Tell me if you guys agree. Okay. Yeah. And so one of the things that mindfulness does, and I'm going to give you a really great example, okay? Throughout your whole day, remember, modern day humans, we are stacked up against a ton of stuff, but let's even just talk about like all of the information that we are absorbing. If you're on social media for at least 5 minutes, you've absorbed way more information than your human brain is allotted, okay? Even being part of this presentation, you are taking in a lot of information. If you are now like, you know, I know it's Monday, so a lot of you guys are not at the salon, but even just a day of salon, you're taking in information. You're giving a lot of output, a lot of input, a lot of output, a lot of input, a lot of output. I want you to think of your brain having every single one of your favorite songs playing at the same time. Like just having that visual, you're just like, whoo, oh my gosh, like that's just, whoa, I need a break, right? You need it, like you can easily then turn off the radio and like have a little bit of silence. But as modern day humans, we don't have the ability to do that as easy. So mindfulness is the act of shutting off the radio for just a minute so that you could go back to being a human being. Mindfulness literally is just being in the moment. It's not worrying about the past or the future. They don't exist. It's literally being right here, right now, in the moment. And there are so many ways that you can practice mindfulness, and so many ways that, and I'm going to talk about them in a little bit about how you can capitalize on your well-being. But having a mindful life is going to give you a beautiful life. But it's a practice, and that's where like coaches are really good at helping you, because we can help guide you and coach you on how to live more mindfully. It's not easy. I want you to think about it this way. If I asked you guys to go run a marathon today, you'd be like, okay, unless you're a marathon runner out there. And if you are, props to you, right? But you guys would be like, no, I mean, I need practice. I need training. I need someone to teach me how to run a marathon. Like I need to start at 1 mile, just start there, right? Mindfulness is the same thing. You have to be taught. If you don't know how to live mindfully, you need to get a coach to teach you. You need a teacher to teach you. And that's what I'm here for you to do, is teach you that. So here are some other ways that you can practice your emotional well-being, but also practice mindfulness. And this gets into mindset coaching as well. It's all in your language, okay? Your language, if you can have mindful language, you're gonna see things in your life actually change. I'll give you a couple examples of how in mindset coaching we teach language. The first is, instead of saying I have to do something or I should do something, I want you to change that language. When you say those things, I have to and I should, you are saying that from a place of shaming yourself. I always say, don't should all over yourself. Don't should all over yourself, because if you keep saying, oh, I should do this, I should do that, I should do this, I should do that, that comes from shame. Yeah. Should is a 4-letter word for me. Yes, I know it. It is for a lot of women, men too. Should comes from shame. And you would really not want to shame anyone. So why do you shame yourself? Like what, like think about that. Why would you want to shame yourself? So I'm going to teach you how to change your language. Instead of saying something like, oh, I should clean the house, or I have to clean the house, or I gotta clean the house. Now I say, you know what? I get to clean the house because I actually get a house to clean. Do you know how many people don't have homes that they clean? Like I get to clean my house, so I get to clear out the energy and keep it nice and clean for me to live comfortably, and so that my kids can have a beautiful home for them to live. Like I get to clean this house. I get to clean the house. So today I get to clean my house today to do that. See the shift? You know what? I know I should work out. I should work out. I should work out. Ugh, I should work out, right? How about I get to work out? How about I actually have a body that I'm able to work out? Because there are people who don't have who have bodies that don't allow them to work out. I get the choice to be healthy today because I get to do that. I get to buy healthy food because I'm afforded the ability to buy healthy food. Shifting the language. Another one is I am affirmations. When you utilize I am affirmations, like and continually repeat yourself to I am, you could say something like I am prosperous, or I am prosperous, or I am abundant, or I'm great at my job. I'm amazing stylist. I'm amazing stylist. What you're doing is you're starting to rewire in the reticular activation system in your brain, and your brain starts to recognize that, and your body starts to adapt to your brain, and you actually become that. I am affirmations are huge. And one of the things that I will tell you is that you will be getting a little exercise on I am affirmations in my Beauty Flow journal that I'm going to be giving you. Okay, next thing, physical activity. Okay, we all know physical activity is great, right? For all the reasons in the world. Okay, physical activity, we know works our bodies out. And here's the thing, from a beauty perspective, why I love physical activity is because it actually pumps oxygen to your skin. And the more oxygen it has, the more ability it is to able to hold on to moisture, the more ability it is to easily get that cell turnover process. So you want to pump oxygen to your skin. That's why working out keeps you looking young. It's another beauty practice. But physical activity specifically, and people don't talk about this enough. They think about like physical activity to like lose weight, all that stuff, right? It actually is one of the most mindful things that you can do, because when you work out, you're not in your head. The easiest way to get out of your mind is to get in your body. I'm going to say that again for the people in the back. The easiest way to get out of your mind is to get in your body. So when you start to move your body, literally, you guys think about this. If you guys work out, when you work out, you literally forget everything that is going on in your life, and you are just like in the zone. You get in this zone of flow, right? So working out when you get into your body, you get out of your mind. So if you're ever having a bad day, for those of you who are runners who are like, you know what, I just need to go for a run. And running is meditation, just so you guys know. It's a form of moving meditation, because when you start to run, you literally lose all concept of your brain because you're in your body. For how many of you was that like mind blowing? Anybody out there? Chats? No? Okay. A little bit. Yes, me. Okay. Yeah, mind blown. Yeah, you got to get out of your mind. Yeah. And sometimes I always say, like, you know, your mind is a bad neighborhood. You shouldn't be in there alone. That's why you need a coach or a therapist. Sometimes you shouldn't go into that neighborhood alone, because you never know who's going to be lurking around the corner in your thoughts. So physical activity, get in your mind, right? Okay, gratitude. Practicing gratitude is the antidote to worry. Practicing gratitude is the antidote to worry. What I mean by that is when you are worried, especially about things that like I'll give you a really great example. Current events, if you even just turn on the news for a few minutes, you can see what's going on in our country, in our world, right? And especially if you're a mother, it really poses a lot of stress, right? It poses a lot of worry. I'm a mom, I get it, you know? But if you live in the worry, you are going to lose out on what's in the moment. So whenever I find myself in the cesspool of worry, the way that you get out of that is by sitting down and writing out everything you're grateful for. What do you have that you don't have to worry about? So when I worry about, like, you know, what the future looks like for my kids, right now what I think about is, like, I'm so grateful that my kids are still small kids, that I can enjoy them. I'm still so grateful that my kids love me and want to still hug me. I'm still grateful that my son comes into my room every morning, jumps in my bed and cuddles. Like, I still have that. And if I worry about their future, then I'm going to miss out on this moment and it'll be gone. So gratitude is the antidote to worry. The more you practice gratitude, the less you worry. I promise that to you also. In my journal, you guys are going to get access to it today. Gratitude is something I ask of you to practice every morning. The first thing you do when you wake up. Not scroll your phone. Practice gratitude. And here's the cool part, okay? A lot of science and research has proven the fact that if you are grateful for things that haven't even happened yet, things in the future, they will come true. They will come true. So practicing gratitude for something that hasn't even happened yet will actually magnetize it to you, because you start to sit in what we call an elevated emotion, okay? There are different emotions. There's an elevated or decreased emotion. The two highest elevated emotions that you can experience are gratitude and love. That's it. So when you experience love, there ain't nothing better. When you experience gratitude, there ain't nothing better. Decreased levels of emotions are shame and guilt, lack, fear. The opposite of love is fear. The opposite of love is fear. So elevated emotions, practice them. Gratitude is the antidote to worry. Okay. And then there is meditation and breath work. Meditation is the quickest, most significant way to improve your mental and emotional state. Science has shown that meditation not only works out the muscle of the brain and strengthens the muscle of the brain, but it also is the quickest way to rest your nervous system. Remember, there's the parasympathetic and the sympathetic nervous system. We want to rest, digest, and repair. And so meditation for 15 minutes a day, all it is, 15 minutes a day. That's like what you want to work yourself up to, okay? That's like the goal, okay? Unless you're like Deepak Chopra, he meditates 4 hours a day. I don't recommend that if you don't need to, but 15 minutes a day is like sufficient. That's like what you want to work up to. There have been significant increases in brain development, emotional health in people who meditate 15 minutes a day, and biologically rewind the biological clock of their body. I'm going to give you a really cool tip about meditation as it relates to beauty, because I think this is very important as a beauty coach. It's very important. In the chromosomes of our skin, every single chromosome, at the end of the chromosome, there's a little cap, okay? That cap is called a telomere. As we age, those telomeres become shorter. And as those caps on the chromosomes become shorter, our skin cell turnover process slows down, and that's how we start to see signs of aging. When you meditate and experienced meditators what they found scientifically is those telomeres actually lengthen the more you meditate. So it is really the only way that you can rewind the clock biologically on the way you look, you feel, and your body's operating system is to meditate. So knowing that, can you guys now see why meditation is part of this beauty flow coaching and why I became a meditation guide? Can you see? Can you tell me in the chat? Like, whoa, sold. Yeah, sold. So if you ever want to sign up for any of my, if you want to apply to my beauty coaching program, I guide a personal meditation for you in every single session we meet together for 12 weeks, based on wherever you are in your life and what you need help with. I have over 250 hours of mindset coaching and meditation guide experience under my belt to help you, because it means that much. It means that much, right? So should we be allowed to meditate at breaks? Works. Actually, listen, I don't have the solutions of what you can do on your breaks or if you can even take breaks. But the answer, should we be allowed to meditation breaks at work, right? Yeah, if you get a 15-minute break, meditate for 5 of those minutes. Ariana Huffington is one of my favorite people in the world, and she has the best saying, and I completely agree with her, is that she meditates once a day unless she's really busy. Then she meditates twice a day. If she's really busy. And I have to agree. Because like I sit at the computer a lot when I'm not doing makeup. And when I'm sitting at the computer, I mentally I do like task switching all day long. And task switching makes you stupider, just so you guys know. Like when you're multitasking, like your brain isn't meant to develop that way, like it's not meant to operate that way. So in order to like chill the overwhelm, you gotta shut down. Remember, shut off the radio station. Because you're basically having all of your favorite songs playing at the same time. And the way to do that is to shut off the radio, right? Meditation shuts off the radio to your mind. So yes, I would say on your breaks, do it. When I used to work in corporate, I would get an hour break. You know how that works. Like your hour is not really an hour. You're like sitting at the computer on your phone, whatever. I would take a non-negotiable 10 minutes and go somewhere by myself and meditate. Every single day, if you can. Remember, 15 minutes is the goal. If you can get in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, that's great too. Okay. Whew. The last big one, okay, is journaling. Journaling is the other way to release mental chatter, especially chatter that no longer serves you, okay? Your pen to paper thoughts are going to be what could potentially change your life. Because when you wake up in the morning and you get everything out on paper that's in your brain, it's not stored there. And let me tell you something about energy. If you don't talk anything out, you're gonna act it out. Let me say that again. If you don't talk it out, you're gonna act it out. If you're somebody who doesn't talk out your feelings, your thoughts, your energy, babe, I promise you, you're gonna act it out one way or another. Whether it's when you blow up on somebody out of no reason, whether it's because you cry, or whether because it comes to a point where it affects your health and there's no turning back, it's gonna act out. So journaling first thing in the morning is one of your ways to talk it out so you don't act it out. So I am going to give all of you my Beauty Flow Glow Forward journal prompts for you to use. I don't do this, but because Salon Service Group had created this amazing opportunity for you, I was like, I cannot not give you this. I cannot not do this. So you are all going to get this at the end of today. It's going to be on the portal that you have received all the other information, all the other documents from. And I want you to read it from the beginning to the end, because it breaks down how these acts will rewire your new way, your thought process in your brain, and what part of the brain it activates, and how you're able to just let go of beliefs that no longer serve you. Okay. My goal, or more so this, I'm going to give you guys a challenge and I want to see who's ready to accept the challenge, okay? I want you to challenge yourself to do it for 10 days straight. See what happens in 10 days. 10 days, morning and night. And if you're telling me, I don't have time in the morning, look at your priorities. You set them last week. What are your priorities? What are your values? If living a compassionate, mindful, mental, clear life is your priority, then find out where you can give yourself time to do this, okay? It's gonna take practice because remember, your thought patterns, your synapses are hardwired. So if you're hardwired to reach for your phone the second you wake up, it's gonna take mindful thinking to reach for your journal the first thing you do when you wake up. Who's ready to take on the challenge? I wanna know. Who's gonna do it? Who is gonna take on the challenge? Yes, ready. Let's do this. Me. You're gonna do it 10 days. Challenging you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And in 10 days, I want you to somehow get in touch with me at the bottom. I don't think at the bottom of it is my email, but anyway, regardless, get in touch with me and I want to know how it changed you in 10 days. I want to know. Okay. So my goal is transformation for you. I mean, that is ultimately why I do what I do, is to help you in transformation. Remember, it takes more than just education. So today you were just educated. And like I said, there's so much more to neuroscience that I could teach a whole 10-week session on that you would be blown away. I have many people who I studied with that will blow your mind away, right? But the education doesn't matter unless you practice it. It doesn't matter. It's edutainment, right? You're just educating yourself for entertainment purposes, not to actually do anything with it. So I dare you to practice it. I double dog dare you to practice. Okay. Sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes it does take accountability. That's where I come in. Okay. I come in with the accountability, and that's where we come from transformation. So again, accountability may look like you messaging me on Instagram or on Facebook or on social media. That might be your accountability. But if you ever want more, I'm always here. I'm always here. So we just went through a whew of a session, like a whew of a session. Your body holds more truth than your mind. So whenever you're at a crossroad or you just don't understand like why you're thinking the way you're thinking, take a moment to check in with your body. Listen to your body intelligence. Take a deep breath, place a hand on your heart, and listen to what your body has to say, not your mind. Don't believe everything you think. Okay? The goal is to respond to your experiences, not to react to them. You can do that by knowing where in the brain your thoughts are coming from. Is it coming from the prefrontal cortex or the amygdala? Then recognizing, is it a thought I should think, rethink, and change? Let's try to rewire that synapses and rewire the thought pattern, okay? But the quickest way to get to that mental liberation is through practicing mindfulness and practices that will nourish your mental well-being. Next week, you guys, we're getting into meditation. So excited, okay? We are going to be doing a meditation. So next we're going to talk about the basics of meditation. No need to be an experienced meditator, okay? You can find a quiet place with little distractions if possible. Wear comfortable clothes, nothing restricting. You can lay down, be seated, bring a blanket, bring your headphones. Like we are doing it. And guess what? It's going to be like almost 25-minute meditation. So like it is no joke. It's going to be so much fun. Like it's going to be amazing. Okay. And as always, connect with me, please. If you have followed me or messaged me, know that if I haven't gotten back to you, it's because I'm getting back to a bunch of people, but I am always here to connect with you. And I love connecting with you on social media. I want to hear what you're doing. I want to hear what works. So this is where you're going to connect with me for your journal successes. And I'm just excited to see how you level up. Thank you guys for another amazing session. I'm going to hand it over to either Nick or Heather. You guys have been awesome.
Sandy, thanks so much for this awesome session today. Also, just want to give a shout out and thank you to Gino Barbo for sponsoring this entire event so that SSG employees, along with our stylist customers, could experience this wellness journey as well. So with that, we thank you and everybody have a great afternoon.
Bye.
Thanks, Sandy.